yes. This is episode number 18 of the MidLife Crisis podcast. Filming down here in Chop Sports in Manawan, New Jersey. Dave Sturcio is helping me out once again. Always here. Seems like he sleeps here. He lives here. My next guest will be a high school basketball coach with the Manasquan Camden last second buzzer. Talk about rule change. He's been coaching for over 40 years. Had 2 state championships, 20 years apart. Never left the program. Went to high school there. Coached there. He's retiring there. Very good, good statistician. Always puts a good product on the floor. It's my pleasure to introduce you the new Providence head basketball coach, Art Cattano. Well, listen, Coach. Listen, thanks for your time. I know we spoke a couple years ago. You know, probably 08, 09, when I was writing articles for Sideline Chatter. You're always very good to me. And, here it is 14, 15 years later, you're still at the school, you're still coaching. So I know, listening, doing my research for the show, somebody that you respect, one of the coaches said there'll never be another Art Cattano after you won your first state championship. I guess that was back in 09.
99.
In 99. Is that ring true now? You think that there'll never be another Art Cattano again? I mean,
Well, the reason that it was said, it wasn't out of any disrespect at all, but it was because of the way things were starting to turn even back then with the even the public and the non-public schools recruiting them. And one of the first ones in our section was Bloomfield Tech, and there's a big article written about it by Jerry Carino in the Courier, and he just said those days are over for schools like New Providence to be able to win a state championship again. And the other coach, who's a good friend of mine, he kind of reiterated that. So one of the things that I was most satisfied about was when we did win it again in 2019. That was something some people thought could never be done, and we did it, and we did it with our own kids, which is the way it should be.
Well, and listen, I give you credit. You didn't become like you didn't bounce somewhere else and took another opportunity. You grew up in New Providence. You played at New Providence. You coached in New Providence. So I mean, and like you never really left the program anywhere. And then just talk a little bit about like your successes and your success. I know I'm getting at the end of the school day, but your successes, the longevity at the program. You have, over 40 years. I think you have over closing in on 600 wins. So that's for me at any level, that's something to be proud of. So, like, what do you think? What do you think your success is, and what keeps you, still working, and then still kind of competing, because your teams are still competing. You're still you still put a good product on the floor. So
we had a great year this year, and two games away from. By the end of my senior year, I realized that this is what I wanted to do as a profession: be a teacher, be a coach. A lot of the reason was because of the teachers and the coaches I had here. I played for Frank Batone, who coached here for 45 years, football, and played for Paul Miller and baseball, who stayed here for quite a long time. And a lot of our coaches, that's something that I think is one of the reasons we've been so successful here in multiple sports. They have a tendency to stick around, and which I think is it's very rare in this day and age. I don't know how much longer that's going to last, but I looked up to those guys, and bottom line is this was the only place I wanted to be, and things kind of worked out with me with Ed Leader, who was the athletic director. Once I graduated college, he retired, and Paul Miller became the AD. It opened up a teaching position, and that's how I became a teacher here in 1979.
And I think they named the field after Paul Miller, if I'm correct.
Yes, they did. So Leader Field is the football, the soccer, and lacrosse field.
Okay, so I mean, and then I don't know what's in the water up there, but you guys end up staying there for a long time, and you took over for Coach Batone for a while on the football side. So for a while, but was it tough juggling both sports at the time, coaching football and coaching basketball? Because sometimes, in the successes, which is good, they overlap. So
yes, I coached football for 40 years, so there were several times being a varsity assistant where we'd be in the state finals and it overlapped. But I always made it work. It was a rough maybe 10 days where I was doing both. I do football right after school, and then I go to basketball practice, and we made it work. But then when I got the head football job, which is actually something I really wasn't looking to do, and nobody kept on saying no to me. I was waiting for people to say no to me.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh, and the biggest transition for me at the time was moving from the elementary school as a teacher to the middle school, because becoming the head football coach really wasn't that much of a transition to me because I'd been here for so long, and you're in charge. There's more responsibility, but the teaching part was really, quite
yeah,
traumatic for me. And I only did it for the 1 year. I just
yeah.
it's you can't, in this day and age, you really can't be the head coach of two high level sports, and because it's year round. I'm
Yeah.
I'm doing stuff almost every day for basketball now as it is, even
Yeah, that's what I
though
say. Like just fundraising, it's probably a 12-month a year job,
it
camps,
is. It
and
is
then
camps,
you know,
summertime,
you know,
summer leagues, all that.
yeah, and then now you have all season workouts. Making sure the kids' grades are okay, so they're
Yeah.
they're not in trouble, and so it's nice that you're still there. But I just since you're a basketball coach, I can't bring this topic up, but like the Manasquan Camden game.
Yeah.
I mean, listen, bad calls are going to happen, but I guess this one, only difference with that is that everybody saw it. But then I go back to what Jerry Glanville used to say, the coach of of the Atlanta Falcons. Did that bad call trump another bad call? Sometimes the
Yeah.
referees. So, I mean, what's your take on that? And you see any rule changes? I know I got a lot of friends in New York. They're saying Jersey doesn't have a shot clock. Jersey doesn't have a shot clock. They should have a shot clock. So,
Yeah.
do you see any like going into the state tournament? You see any like video? I mean, it's an undertaking. I don't know if it's going to be state sponsored or school
Yeah.
sponsored or.
I really don't think that can be done with a video. I actually I actually don't like the video at any level, college, pro. To me, I'd rather just leave it up to the officials. And again, sometimes there's going to be good calls, sometimes there's going to be bad calls, sometimes you profit from the wrong call.
Yeah,
I mean, and sometimes it's going to go against you. But as far as that was concerned, what I think was what I perceived as the wrong part was one of the officials made the call that the basket was good,
yes.
and the officials are running off the court, which they typically do for every game. They're gone. They're getting into their locker room or whatever the case may be, and they were leaving the court. And the only reason that got turned was because they got stopped, and they got stopped by somebody from the NJSIA, and I believe I'm not sure, it was a Camden coach. So now they have this discussion, and maybe the other two officials say, "Hey, I didn't think it was good," and they change the call.
Okay.
So to me, I think they just would have gone into the locker room and maybe they have that discussion there, but they're not going to change it because the
Yeah.
guy made the call, whether he was right or wrong. And it turns out he was right, but he could have made the wrong call, and the other two officials might have thought like it was good, and they run in, and then it would have been the other way.
I-
But so
Is
that's
that
that's the
common?
only reason why I thought they had a beef,
Yeah.
Manasquan, because it wasn't done right after the game.
Well, I mean, I think that NJS, I think they had to kind of stay with the ruling. I think that,
Yeah.
that happened. Is that commonplace though to have like a referee or representative in the stands on those games, like just to make sure everything or the report back or kind of is that commonplace or was that just
Well,
by chance?
that was a sectional final, so there always is somebody there because they're the ones that give you the trophy when you win it. Somebody from the state is always
Okay.
there.
All right, and then just getting back to yourself, I mean, I guess what I find amazing about your career is like you never had a run in with a player, a parent, administrator. I mean, you hear like, especially in this climate, and then like they just walk away from it. You say, heck with it, I'm done. So I mean, like, what's your secret to kind of like making sure that the ship is always moving forward. There's really no turbulence. Like like I mean, to me that's probably a credit to your character and your leadership. But like
Right.
that you're you're able to kind of weather the storm, like,
Yeah. Well, it hasn't been completely,
oh
you
yeah,
know,
I'm sure, but
yeah, I mean, there have been issues at times with players and parents, but I would say very little. And even over the past 10 or 12 years, I haven't had an issue with any parents at all. I tell our kids are told all the time that um, bottom line is if they have any kind of issue, any kind of problem, that they deal with me, or they deal with if it's a JV, they talk to the JV coach, or they talk to the freshman coach. It's not going to do them any good to talk to their friends. It's not going to do them any good to talk to their parents, or their parents might perceive things in a certain way where the kid completely understands the situation.
yeah,
So, you know, uh, if a parent did say, "Oh, I think my son should be playing," or something like that, and I said, "Well," I would probably say to him, "You're ask your son about it," or
yeah,
like, your son knows exactly where he's at. We always tell the kids, you're evaluated every single day, and if you again, like, if you have a problem or you want to talk about it, we'll talk about it. You might not agree with me, but we'll talk about it. Don't bring it home, don't bring it somewhere else. So we've been very fortunate in that way, and I think as the years have gone by, there's just an understanding of what our program's about, and I think most people see it that way. So we've had very little problems, very
yeah.
little.
Well, that's good, and success also. You can't really argue with the success either. But
Right.
like we talked about, the 20-year gap with the state championships. I was watching an interview online, like two different teams. Really, you're getting like multi-sport athletes playing for you, and then you
Yes.
kind of encourage that too
Oh
as,
yeah,
as
we
well.
all do. We all do.
So
I think that's one of the real good thing about our all our coaches, over the years. And I learned that first guy I learned that from was, Coach Batone. One of the first things he ever said was, "I want you guys playing other sports. I want you to play sports in the winter. I want you to play in sports, in the spring." He goes, "I love going to the games. I love watching you guys play."
yeah,
And for the most part, all our coaches do that because we realize, you only go through this way once, and you only get to experience high school athletics once. And there are kids that do specialize, but that's their choice. And
yeah.
we really encourage the kids to do other things. I love watching our kids play. I go to as many games as I can in the fall and in the springtime, just to watch our kids compete.
Yeah. And then we talked a little bit when we were setting up this interview, just the landscape of the group one, group two schools. I mean, for so long, it was like kind of the group four schools were the heavyweights.
Yeah.
Now, like you see in Newark, you got to deal with them. A lot of schools in your section, they're coming down to group one, group two schools, and they get a lot of charter schools. And
Yep.
so, how's the landscape changed just on the New Jersey stage as far as with these charter schools and transfers, and there's no limitation as far as the 30 days or anything else. I mean, how's the landscape changed, and what is that something you like to kind of see um, change on the state front too? Like maybe have their own conference, a charter school conference, or is it
Uh,
you just want to see everything play out the way it is?
well, it's difficult. My feeling sort of is, like, it's like almost shouldn't be based on enrollment. It should be based on where you can draw from. So you take like the Newark schools. Those kids can go anywhere.
Yeah,
Any Newark school. So they have a big population that they can draw from, and you see it all the time. Like the year we won the states in 2019 against American history. The next year we played University, the second round, and there were three kids from American history on that team. So that was like the school of choice to go to.
yeah,
And it makes it very difficult. And even back in the days like Bloomfield Tech, uh, their population to draw from was really bigger than Newark. It was Essex County.
yeah,
So if you got a coach that's doing that and trying to recruit kids, you got a big drawing area. It's not
yeah,
not the
yeah.
size of your school at all.
You have a
Um,
you have a competitive advantage, and also you have like these. I guess Manasquan is it too. It's a choice school too. So I guess they get
Correct.
these kids from other districts.
Yeah.
That then come in and play. I guess Point Pleasant Beach. I mean, I think
Point Beach, yeah.
yeah, they're always successful. I mean, Dayton had a good run there. They were a choice school. So I mean, you're also those are schools that are kind of on your level that you kind of see at tournament time. So
Yeah, I remember. Well, the thing is, what happens with us when we're in Group One, we're usually Section Two, and so again, you're dealing with Newark, and typically the last few times we were gone up to Group Two, we were in Central. So when you're in Section Two, you're dealing with the Newark schools, and when you're in Central, now you're dealing with a lot of the shore schools, and even in that case, uh, a lot of people establish residencies legally because they're renting shore houses, which are a lot cheaper to rent, during the school year than they are in the summertime. So
yeah,
you have that stuff going on, or like you said, they could be a choice school. So it's hard, like I mean, I kind of look at it. This is what we're dealing with. I don't know if there are any solutions, but we just try to do whatever we do, like every day in practice or every year, and try to compete and play at a high level, and that's all we can do. That's all we
yeah.
can really control.
And I'm surprised, like 4 years ago, I guess last week, everything shut down because of COVID. I'm just surprised that with your resume and your time in, you said, you know what, the heck with it. But I give you credit for kind of sticking with coaching and still continuing to teach.
Yeah, actually, this is my 45th year teaching, and I am
Jeez.
I am retiring this year from teaching.
Okay, but you're
Uh,
still gonna coach.
I'm still going to coach, and they always say you kind of know when it's time. And I started feeling that way a little bit last year, and then it was sort of like late November or whatever. And my feeling was, you know what? When I go into my last year, I want to know it's going to be my last year. So that's why I decided to do one more year this year. And it's coming toward the end as far as that's concerned. But I still going to coach, and I plan on doing some substitute teaching here. I want to stay visible and stay in contact with the kids as much as I can, and you build a lot of relationships. I'm a middle school health and phys ed teacher now, and I start building relationships with those kids, whether they're going to be in our program or not. I start doing that now, and then if they wind up being in our program, it certainly helps. So I enjoy doing that. That's what
You,
I'm going to miss that.
but it seems like your district, you don't really lose too many players to like some of the other some of the other local powerhouses, like, or I mean, I
Yeah,
mean, or am I reading that? Everybody kind of stays home in New Providence.
right.
Everybody kind of stays home. So you've been fortunate in that aspect of it. So
Yeah, for the most part in basketball, we've been very fortunate. I know a couple other sports. There's been some lacrosse kids that go to other schools, and a couple football kids. But we've been pretty lucky basketball wise. They usually stick around.
and you talk about the kids. I mean, I probably when you first started coaching, you're probably about kids drinking beer in the woods. Now it's more like social media. Like, what are they posting on social media? Like what so how do you relate to, a senior 2024 who's got, the world right in his pocket? And how did you relate with those kids back then, like when you first started coaching in the 80s? So
Well, I think you just gradually have to. I mean, I always have my values, my beliefs, which have been constant over the whole time. But I think you just got to change and adapt. A little bit at a time to some things that used to really bug me when I first started. I say I'm not going to fight that fight anymore.
yeah.
And so, like, I think if you're staying in it, you kind of move along with them. We had a coach here, Don Carpenter, who he was a football coach for maybe 35 years, 30 years, and then he went into administration. And after he retired, he came back to coach football again, like 10 years later. And it was a big adjustment for him, even though he was kind of around it as an athletic director and things like that. But as a coach, he'd been away from it for like 10 years. And it was a big adjustment for him. And he was like, oh my God, things are so much different. And I'm like, yeah, you kind of have to adapt as you go along, So I think that's sort of helped me, the fact that I've, been through it the whole time.
Yeah, because I guess the one interview I saw, like he had the kids dressed in suit and ties. Now they can wear like jumpsuits, I guess. So it was like, so I guess, the one change I guess people were surprised about. So
Yeah, we still, that's one of our things in our commitment sheet, like about wearing shirt and ties at away games. We have we have changed that. We do have warm up suits that it really depends on the situation. Uh, I do it most of the time. And our kids, it was great about our team this year. They wanted to dress up more often than not. They're
yeah,
like, oh, they wanted to dress up, which is great. And sometimes it depends. Like if we're playing a 4 o'clock game, and then I'm concerned about our kids, not having enough time to change and get ready to warm up, that type of thing before game. So I might be, all right, we're going warm ups today, or or if nobody's going to see us, like if we're going in the gym and we're getting changed, and like I like it when we get there. Typically, we'll get there and the freshmen will still be playing. It'll be the end of the game, and our, then we watch our JV games, and I want people to see us. I want people to see our kids in the stands, dressed up, and that makes an impression on people. And we still, our staff still wears a shirt and tie every game, or sometimes I'll wear
yeah.
a suit. So we haven't gotten away from that as a staff.
Yeah, I know. Every time I kind of covered you, you always had a suit on, so always looked the part. But like, I, as far as your style of play, like you're kind of fast pace. Shoot a lot of threes.
Yeah.
Kind of don't really have that much height. I mean, you have big kids, but you don't really have that much height. So just talk a little bit about your playing style, and is that you adapt it, you adapt with each team, or how does that go when you approach the season? So
Well, I mean, the 3-point shot is, to me, just the biggest thing that's changed the game. Uh, I always, I kid around because, when somebody makes a three nowadays, they got to signal with the three fingers or do some kind of thing. I said,
yeah,
that's not a big deal anymore. I said, you guys should do that when you make a two. I said, that's rare. That's a big
yeah,
deal. Somebody makes
yeah,
a 15 footer
yeah.
instead of, something from 20 feet away.
Or
But,
two foul shots, right?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
so sometimes those are
Yeah, put up one finger when you make a foul
yeah,
shot, because
so,
you see a lot of people missing those. They can't make the free throws.
yeah,
But our style of play is, so many of these kids can shoot the three now, and I tell the kids the same thing I've always told them. Like, all we want is a good open look every time down. If a three is a good shot for you, take the three. If that's not within your range, well, then that's not a good shot. Or if somebody's close to you, that even if they're going to get a hand up, that's not a good shot for us.
yeah,
And we just, our kids, my gosh, there were some games this year, they were just, cranking them up. It was unbelievable. And then the other teams are doing it too, though. So
yeah,
you sort of have to do it, to make a few of them to stay in the game. That's what killed us against, when we lost our state tournament game. We played a real good game, got good looks, but bottom line is we shot 3 from 20 from 3-point range. So
yeah.
that,
So
that
I was
really
there.
hurt
I
us.
guess. I guess let's see. I looked up here. 19-7 this year. That was that the
Yes,
in
yes.
19-7. So I mean, still, I mean that's still that's still a great season. But
Oh,
I,
yeah.
I saw the kids play. I guess when they were sophomores. I mean, you had a couple good guards. I know the kid Zaranko. I guess he was a
Right.
quarterback, but
Yep.
he was a nice player. And then I forget the other kid who was also. But the game I went,
Corey,
they
Corey
just
Rust maybe played a lot as a sophomore.
yeah. So I mean, they just buried the team in threes. So just and it was the difference in the game. But and just talk a little bit about your fast pace. Like, where did you learn your style, and how do you stay relevant? With like the ever changing landscape, or is it kind of how do you talk to other coaches? Or so much stuff is online. How do you kind of stay relevant on like different things that teams are throwing at you, or a couple of
Yeah.
wrinkles that
No,
you
no,
could?
no. Yeah. I mean, I'm always learning. I go on. I get emails from coaches that have videos, things like that, and I look at that stuff. I meet with other coaches. Actually, on Friday, I'm going to meet with Tim Simo, the head coach of Summit, who played for me. He was on the '99 team,
Okay.
and we got together last year, and we're getting together again Friday. Just sit down and talk a little bit. Um, and I think he does it. I think he does a great job with his kids. And we sat down last year, and he gave me, showed me I said, I really like what you're running, and he gave me like a handout sheet and everything. And here we are, like, competing against each other. We
Yeah.
play them twice, and we're playing them twice next year. And we don't care about that. I don't care about that. Like I'll share with people, and people share with me, and we're all watching videos of other teams. We're all stealing stuff from
Yeah.
everybody else. So it doesn't really matter. People know what you're going to do, and we know what they're going to do, and they know what we're going to. It's just a matter of execution. But as far as the fast pace goes, I mean, I just encourage that more. Let's get up and down the court, and even defensively this year we talked more about picking up full court more than we ever have in the past, mainly because we have the personnel, and also because I'm like, why should I give him that free 42 feet? Like, why shouldn't we just defend and make him work instead of
Yeah.
only work half the court? So kids
And
like it too. The kids like it. They like picking up full and pressing and putting
yeah,
pressure
and
on.
I'm sure probably you cycle a lot of players in too, so it gives
Yeah,
every more opportunity
right.
to play. But getting back to the rules changes, you ever think Jersey's going to go to a shot clock? I know that's always been something that they don't have, and like everybody I talk to, like outside this region, they don't have a shot clock. New Jersey doesn't have a shot clock. You ever think that's a rule change you kind of see on the horizon, or?
I mean, I haven't heard any serious talk about it. I mean, it's brought up a lot, like you're bringing it up. Um, to be honest, if we are able to compete against some of these teams, a shot clock would kill us.
Yeah,
Because if we can, and again, we're not holding the ball, not shooting at all, because I think people want to see action, but we would just be, it might take us a little longer to get a good shot. Instead of forcing something up because the shot clock's
yeah,
going on. So
yeah.
in that sense, I think it would hurt. It would hurt teams. When you're playing against a real strong opponent, there are things you can do to, slow things down a little bit and stay competitive.
And like you probably have like a lot of backyard players. Like nobody really goes to a playground anymore, and there's you pass by a basketball playground, nobody's really playing anymore. But some of your kids play AAU. Do you encourage AAU or just some?
Uh, I don't, I don't, I don't encourage it or discourage it. We have a lot of kids that are doing it. If there's anything, I tell them instead of playing an AAU game for, you take an hour of your time, even maybe more, just to get there and game time and get home. I said, if you were working out like really hard even by yourself or with another person, you'd probably get more out of it than being in an AAU game. And sometimes some of that 32 minutes you're on the bench or you're not touching the ball and things like that. And so, for example, we go to a team camp at Albright every year, taking 20 kids up there. We get 9 games in like 48 hours. But I tell the kids that aren't going, I said, you might get more out of it in a day than we get out of it a day if you put an hour or two into your game, because you're hands on with the ball the whole time,
Yeah,
rather than just maybe you play 3 games and you're not
yeah,
getting as much as a workout as you would if you were working out on your own.
yeah. And then as far as in the summertime, my daughter went to your camp up there. You have the XL basketball camp, which is
Yeah.
yeah, I don't know. I mean, you have a lot of kids going there, a very good reputation. I know you still going to be
Yes.
involved with that, even though you're
Oh,
retiring, or are you going to go traveling?
oh,
This
no,
summer?
no. I'm absolutely involved in that. Frank Alaco and I. Frank's the director. He's a former alumni here and lives out in California. He's got a great history to his life. But him and I I've been the co-director since we started it, and we're going on like 42, 43 years with that.
Yeah,
He's out here right now, and one of the things we've been doing is talking about camp and getting that organized. But no, I'll still do the camp. It's a great way to again get kids. We get kids from all different towns, and I work Scotch Plains camp every every summer for 2 weeks, and I always kid those kids. I said, in a couple of years when you're in high school, you're going to be competing to beat us, and I'm trying to make you a better player. But no, but
no,
Excel's been really, really good, and we really enjoy doing that.
and then talk about basketball. Talk about on the boys' side, but the girls' side too. I mean, no problems. You
Yeah,
guys, I mean, they've been on top of Union County, which is a competitive league.
right.
Both boys and girls. So I mean, just So it's just, that camp is probably paying dividends. So, and I know watching something online, I think he got married later in life. You
Yes,
kind
I
of,
did.
you
Yes, I
kind
did.
of, listen, I can kind of see where you get hyper focused on coaching, and then, you realize that, you don't want to grow old by yourself, but, so, you kind of found love later on in life. So I think that, you know, um, you just talk about your relationship. I know the video I was watching, you spoke highly of your wife and just like, her kids, and now you have grandkids. So that's got to
Yeah,
be,
yeah.
so
So I got married when I was a bachelor. I was never had gotten married before, and um, finally I met my wife before we got married, obviously, but
yeah,
got married at the age of 49, and she had four children who've different ages who've become my children, and now we have four grandchildren and another one on the way. But my wife has certainly been, she understands. She's been very supportive. She understands, and if anybody knows what a coach's life is like, it's probably your spouse, because
yes, yeah,
she
because they,
sees she sees what goes on besides just being at practice or just being at a game. And you come home after a game, and especially like state tournament game time, you might be playing a Monday, and now you got to play Wednesday. So you come home, have some dinner, and now you're getting ready for practice for Tuesday for the team you're going to play Wednesday. So you're up to maybe midnight working on stuff. And she understands. She
yeah,
understands. Which is great. She's very supportive. She goes to as many games as she can. You talk about like working a camp or whether I'm just going to travel. Well, we'll have plenty of time to travel. Like camp will be a couple of weeks, but we'll either
yeah,
travel before that or after that. And I said, we're not millionaires, so it's not like every month we're going to go somewhere.
yeah, yeah,
We'll
yeah,
take a
but
few trips here and
well, I
there.
think, yeah, the first step is you're not teaching, so now you have a lot more free time. So the
Right.
coaching, I mean, listen, I think you're doing a really good service to the kids. You always put a good quality product out there. Like I said, two state
Thanks.
championships. I mean that, and you know, 20 years apart. I mean, that just shows a level of consistency of the play. And like it seems like you do it the right way. You're not doing it.
Yeah.
You're not changing kids' addresses or anything else. It's just
Right.
you got your team, you're playing your team, and that this is what we're going to battle with. But anyway, coach, I know
Yeah.
I'm getting you at the end of the school day. I don't
That's
know
all
how
right.
I don't know how many show-ups you have left, but listen, continue. Good luck on your retirement. So,
Thank you.
I'm sure the state of New Jersey is probably happy to get you off the books and start paying your retirement. So
Yeah.
after being an
Yeah.
assistant for so long, so
Before
but
that before that pension gets too big.
yeah, exactly. So, but listen, God bless you, coach, and listen, good luck next season, and
Thank you.
keep on doing what you're doing. And thanks for the time. I really appreciate it. So,
Thanks. This was
yeah,
great. I enjoyed it.
yeah, thanks, coach. I really appreciate it, and good luck to you.
All right. Thank you very much. Take
Yeah,
care.
take care. I'd like to thank Art and also thank him on his retirement, not from basketball, just from teaching. He definitely has a good grasp of the game. Surprised that in this day and age he's never been removed because of administrator, player, or anything else in 2024. Look out for his XL basketball camp in the summer in New Providence. It's a very good basketball camp. He runs it. And also check out other episodes on Midlife Crisis uh, basketball podcast. Looking forward to seeing the next episode real soon.